Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'd like to dive into another machine on the Vulnhub, which is Chill Hack. The link will be put in the description section below so that you can download and play on your own. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. This will help my channel grow. So now, let's start hacking with this fantastic machine on the Vulnhub. And I will be going through this machine in detail. For example, I will show you how to use SSH to set up port forwarding. And I will also show you how to use John the Ripper to crack hash. But to be more important, I will be demonstrating how to use Python to automate the process of bypassing command injection filters in place adopted by the web application. Okay, so there will be a lot to take. Without any further ado, let's just get started. We can switch over to Kali Linux. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target. As you can see over here, the IP address of the target could be recognized as 16. So what shall we do next? We need to perform port and self scanning with a map. To save time of this video, I've already done that before. So now we can get out its result. Let's scroll up a bit. So as you can see here, I took the options like SYN scan or TCP scan, version scan, the default script scan, followed by the -p- to do the full range port scan. The last option of all is ON to output the result into this file. From the map scanning results, we can tell that the target has 1, 2, 3 open ports in total. Let's have a look at them one by one. The first one is 21, which is running FTP service on this port number. And also we retrieve its version, including version number exactly. And also by this default script scanning option, we can tell that the target allows anonymous FTP login. We need to check it out manually afterwards. The second one is 22, which is running SSH service or secure shell service, and also the version information. Though this version is a bit outdated, I don't think we can find any workable vulnerability. The last one is 80, which is running HTTP service, and also the version information, Apache 2. So what shall we do next? We need to enumerate FTP service first, just I mentioned in the other videos. If you haven't followed my channel, please do it now. Thank you. So next we can check whether this version is vulnerable or not. We can use this utility, or you can use Google or some exploit database to search. But I think this utility is great, and we can immediately get its result. Although here there is exploit, but this one belongs to denial of service or DOS exploit. This is not what we want at this moment or at this point. So next we can FTP to the target, and so the username is anonymous, no password. So now we can run ls with ALH options altogether, and there is only one file on the target machine in the current directory. We can use command get and followed by the name of the file we want to download. And before we exit from the FTP, we need to check whether we can navigate across different locations. Okay, so now we can navigate, but we got error of 550. And also we need to check to see whether we have permission to upload file. Okay, let me navigate to working directory so we can create a file or any file. To test, we can use command to test, but we got the same error of 550. So I think it's nothing else what we can do with FTP service. Okay, so then we can exit from the FTP. Now it's done with FTP service. It's time to enumerate the web service or web application, and we can put the IP address of the target into the address bar to conduct the manual enumeration first. Okay, and now it's loading, and we got back this beautiful site. This supporter, great. I think he's a great sportsman. But we can take a look at other links. Also on the top, we can find 2 buttons or links, but they are not effective. Okay, if you click, nothing happened. And also, as usual, we need to check its source code. And sometimes source code can give us something important or sensitive. Okay, for example, like hidden directory, credentials even. But it's not this case. Next, we can check to see whether robots file is available. Not found. Next, let me bring up the terminal window to conduct automatic enumeration. Nicto. In some cases or by some circumstances, Nicto can give us exploit of the exploit of the web application. But normally we cannot get such things easily. And here you can see some banner or version information, allowed HTTP methods. Also find this secret directory. I think it deserves our manual enumeration later. Okay, but in the meantime, we can launch the GoBuster to conduct directory enumeration. So this way can save your time. So now let's go back to browser, access the discovered secret directory. Here we can run command, for example, like whoami. Beautiful. The command has been executed as so expected. For example, like ulam. And also we check to see whether we can access password file. But we got the this message. Are you hacker? No, I'm a pen tester. So this simply means that there is one kind of filter or maybe compilations of some filters in place on the target machine, and it's our job to bypass such a filter. So how to do next? Before we go on, I'd like to have a look at the GoBuster. Although here found some directories or pages, but none of them can give us user information. So I'd like to clear the screen or output of GoBuster. So as you know, when we know the application exists, command injection, then we need our task is to get initial foothold on the target machine, right? And we need to run some kinds of commands. And sometimes we need to try many different reverse shell commands to find the correct one. Okay, for example, if I've already opened up this website, the Pentest Monkey, I always try this different reverse command manually. And also, sometimes we even need to submit modified reverse command, for example, bypass with double quote or single quotes. Okay, so of course, it's okay you manually try these different payloads or different reverse shell command. But in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Python to automate this process. I've already made the copy of the major reverse shell commands. Okay, let's go back to Kali Linux. As you can see over here, several different reverse shell commands. In the real engagement, maybe we need to put more, but for simplicity, I just put several major or common reverse shell commands I used a lot. Okay, what I use a lot. And here, and as you can notice here, I define the two placeholder, localhost and local port number. Localhost means, for example, like in my case, is Kali Linux, and local port number to be listened on. Okay, and here I try to use a single quote and double quotes. Maybe you'll be wondering, this command with double quotes or single quotes can work? Yes, it indeed can work. For example, normally we can use Python 3 and launch the Python 3 interactive environment or interactive Python. Okay, and however, if we put the double quotes, we use double quotes to wrap the Python 3 command, this still works. Okay, great. Maybe this is a bit new for you, but anyway, now we can exit from here. So I've already included such, the bypass approach. Okay, bypassing approach maybe. So now let's create our own Python file, for example, like a command filter bypass. And let's go back to the browser, and we need to capture or get its request. No, not this one. We can open developer tool by right click and navigate to network tab, and you can input any other command like ID or invalid command. It doesn't matter. We just want to copy this request as a Q command, and then we can use this website to convert it. Okay, and then we can copy this to clipboard. Okay, and now we can paste over here. So now I need to import a few more modules. For example, I'd like to import OPT pass, and this module can handle users input or arguments. Okay, and next I'm going to import this module. This module normally can control the flow of our program, even can handle the user's input, but this we can call it positional argument. Okay, we do not need to use the like the -L-P, something like that. And because this code is going to be a bit complicated, so I think it will be better to use OOP method or object-oriented programming method. Okay, class. So bypass filter. Okay, maybe I'd like to introduce two blank lines. Okay, usually the first method would be init or constructor of our class, but for now I just put the pass statement. Later I will come to this method to complete this block. Okay, next I always use this lim for my, get parameters method. Okay, this method handle how to capture or how to get users arguments, and also you can introduce some checks, for example, to check whether the user has already specified the argument properly. Even if you use the or specify the file, you can check to see whether this file exists or not. Okay. Next, I'd like to define the method send command, and usually, by default, the first parameter should be self, and the second parameter here is the command itself. Okay, and now, I always use the long lim for, for the lim to use long as the lim for this major method of our class. Okay, and like the main function in the C program. Okay, so now for now pass. Next, we can check to see if lim attribute equals to main. It means that the following code will be executed. Otherwise, the attribute will not equal. Okay, so now we can call it like we can initialize the object for our own class or instance of this class, of our own class by pass, and we can call its major method. And the next, we can initialize the option parser class and the usage. Sorry, what I'm doing. And the program name. So the here %s is placeholder, and the target URL, and then we can specify the L local host, P local port, okay, and W payload, okay, and use the %. So this will be replaced by the actual item in this list, sys archive. The first item in this list is the program name. Okay, so now we can add option. The first option is target, and then destination or temporary variable name. I can use target as well, and the type is string. And also we can have the help message, target URL, add option. The second option is local host. Dest is local host as well. Type is string, and help specify local host, okay, to listen on, and parser port number, local port number, local port, destination, local port number, type. Here usually port number should be integer, but in our case later I will use this actual value to replace here the string. So here this should be string, otherwise you will get error. Okay, help specify port number, okay, and the last option is payload. payload, destination, payload, type, stream, help, specify payload, and we can call the function, parser. This is object, and we can call its pass arguments method, and then we can check to see whether the user has already specified these options properly. Is long or options. Localhost is long or options. Local port number is long. Oh, sorry, here I miss or. Logical operator or options. Payload is long. Then we can print its usage, and this object has attribute usage. We'll print out this message for user, and then we do not need to proceed. And if you want, also you can check to see whether the file exists, but for simplicity, I'd like to ignore this step. So now we can return these options or arguments as tuple, options target, options localhost, options local port number, comma, options payload. Okay, payload. Now comes to constructor method. We can unpack this tuple, target, self, localhost, self local port number, self payload equals to. Okay, that's it. So also I'm going to use session to send a request. So self session requests method and session. So this can persist our session. If authentication is required, and then we do not need to authenticate to the web application every time, okay? Because the session will be persisted. And also I'd like to define the header, so we just move this dictionary to be here and self. Okay, that's it. So also I don't think they are required. Okay. Next comes to send command method. So I think we can copy or move these few lines from here to be in this block. So the here ID command would be replaced by this argument specified by the user, okay? Or, later we will iterate over the file of payloads, and each reversal command would be passed to this method, okay? So here, this should be self target, and this should be self headers, okay? And next we can check to see whether, if you run command in the blacklist, you will get this error message. So we can copy not in response text. Then we can print out, the command works. And we can also print out the command itself. Else we can print the command fails. Okay. Now we can open the payload file with read-only mode. For line, we can call its read lines method. And now command equals to line. We need to replace, this local host, this one. Of course, this should be string. By self localhost. And also we need to replace. So we need to call this method twice. So local port number by self local port number. Okay. And also in the end, we can call strip. I want to strip any space in the end. So next we can call send command method. And we need to give command argument. So I think that's all. So here maybe we can add one more line break. So now it's happy. So on the line disappear. And also I can remove additional line break. So now we can save our program, bring up the terminal window to run it. So command filter, and now we need to specify that sorry about this, target. So this should be target URL secret and local the IP address of Kali Linux in my case, and port number 555 and the payloads itself. And also I think we can set up a listener on the Kali Linux. So let's run it. Oh, we got an error. Sorry, I forgot to put W option. Press again. So the command, this command fails. Even we have already got the shell from the target machine. Fantastic, right? So now we can spawn a beta shell or interact shell by Python. We can check to see whether Python 2 is available. Python 2 is not there. How about Python 3? Python 3 is there. And import pty. And then we can run. Oh, sorry. So now run it again. My bad. Pty spawn bin bash. Okay. So now I think also we can define environment variable term. Then we can clear screen whenever to get a bigger space on the window. So next we need to conduct local enumeration on the target machine. For example, home. Maybe I'd like to make to be bigger. So you can see what's going on. CD to this directory, but permission denied. Apart. We can, but at this moment we do not have permission. How about this user? Permission denied. So I think the only possible vector should be this directory. So now we can run sudo. We can run this script to make a lot of movement to this user. Great. So now we can have a look at this file or shell script. Okay, very simple shell script. So here I will receive here we'll receive two values or arguments submitted by the user, and the second positional argument would be executed. Okay, so I think now it's very easy to make lateral movement. We can sudo again, sudo, and we need to use option of -u option to specify the username and or run as this user. Okay, we can copy the absolute path of this script. Okay, we can put anything here, and but here we can run command like a bin bash, and also we can spawn interactive shell by Python pty spawn method. Okay, now we can clear the screen. Now we can grab the local flag without any problem, and also we can cut out its history, so nothing here. And next we can run sudo again, but we are led to the same script, so this is not useful. Next, I think, we can go inside SSH directory, but here there is public key. So because we have already got access as this user, it would be better to upload public key to the target machine. Then we can SSH to the target. So SSH shell would be better or stabler. Okay, so now we can open new tab. And we can print out the working directory. And I'd like to remove existing one. I need to do it in advance. Sorry about this. So now we can use we can print out the working directory, and then we can use SSH key generation command. I want to save key pair in the current directory and with the same name or normal name. You can use any name, of course. No passphrase. It's done. And I'd like to copy the private key to authorize the keys. So now we can remove existing one. Maybe I can copy. It's done. And then we can, here we can set up a web server on the Kali Linux. And then we can upload this public key to the target machine. Okay, authorized keys. It's done. Connection refused. Interesting. Oh, I haven't hit enter key. And let's copy this command. Run it. Great, beautiful. Next, we can use SSH with option of -i. So now we get the SSH access or shell to the target, which is much better than original one. Okay. So next, I think it's time to upload Nimpier's shell script to conduct automatic enumeration. I've already got this script ready. Yeah, this one. So now we can set up a web server on the Kali Linux. Now we can switch to this shell, use wget Nimpiers. And we need to make it executable, and then we just run it. When we try to make a lateral movement or privilege escalation, in most cases, we need to take advantage of this ning pairs shell script because it can automate the process of enumeration. And now we can scroll up to find some interesting information or vectors. Okay. Capabilities. SUID. Yeah, we have been used a lot, right? So webmaster, and in this Apache 2 configuration file, we find additional application which is running on this port number. And during Nmap scanning, we didn't find this port number, right? A bit weird. Let's scroll up. Okay, I think I have already found the reason why we failed to discover this port number earlier, because it's accessible locally. So next we need to, make a collection to this a new application, and because this is locally available, of course you can use this way to retrieve the page. Okay, but we cannot use command line to easily find its vulnerability, right? So it's better to set up port forwarding, and then we can access this new web application from the Kali Linux. Let me show you how to do. We can set up a port forwarding by SSH, and we can use uppercase L to specify the local port number and remote IP address, remote host, because here, this SSH and the new application is running on the same machine. Okay, so this is the reason I use the local host. Okay, let me autocomplete this command. So now we can open new tab, and now we can use SS to display active ports. Yes, indeed, locally on the Kali Linux we have already set up this service on this port number, and in other words, port forwarding has been set up properly. Now we can use browser to access this new application, which is originally supposed to be accessible locally, but we have already bypassed such restriction. Okay, press enter, and this is the customer portal. We can use admin as username, admin as password. Try to submit, we got an error. Next, we can try to use login bypass technique. In the end, we need to put one more space, and now password field we can put anything. Okay, anything, and submit. It does work. Fantastic. Now here it's saying you have reached this far. Look in the dark, you will find your answer. And now we can check its source code, and we find this picture, the name of this picture, hacker with laptop. Of course, I think we need to download this picture to our Kali Linux for analysis. Okay, so how to analyze this picture? We can use xf2. This command will retrieve all metadata of this picture, but nothing special here. Next, I'm going to launch stack height with option of extract and SF and no passphrase, you now load extracted data to this file. Then we can use unzip to unzip this file, but it's password protected, no problem. We can use zip to John to convert this file to hash, and then we can use John the Ripper to crack it. But of course, I've already done such cracking, so we can use the show option to display the cached password. Okay, so this is the cached password. So now we can unzip this file, and we can copy. Okay, it's done. So now we can have a look at this source code file. And here we can find two major information. This is the username. But above this one, we can, without much difficulty, we can find this password. Although it's encoded by base 64, no problem. We can echo to decode. Okay, so I think this should be password for the another user. Let's copy, and we can navigate to home directory, switch to this user. It works. And next we can run sudo, but we get the same shell script. Next we can run id. This current user belongs to Docker, so it means that we can utilize the Docker to elevate privilege, and we can go to the website of GTF Obins to capture its instruction. We can copy and simply paste in here. Now we are root user. Okay. Now cd. Oh, what's wrong? cd. Nothing here. Okay, we can get the final flag. So I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you next. Have a good day, please.